Hey, welcome back to the Space Creator Show. This is episode 40. And today we are talking about something very relevant, big house dreams, and why they're starting to look a lot less glamorous with everything going on in the UK, the cost of living, energy bills, the upcoming budget with Rachel Reeves hinting at changes that definitely don't do people with huge properties a favor. The whole bigger is better thing is very quickly losing its appeal to a lot of people, hence all the big houses going on the market recently. If you've noticed, if you are a right move patroller like I am, obviously setting my my budgets high. No, I just like looking at the big houses that will come on, but oh my goodness. Anyway, honestly, I feel like some of us could actually see this as relief because the mental load that comes with having a big house, like at this point in my life, it's not my cup of tea. I won't say never, but definitely not right now. But before I get into all of that properly, I do just want to say, yes, it's been a minute, and I dread to think how many times I have started this podcast and probably my other podcast with that sentence, story of my life, for someone who is obsessed with organization, being organized, being on top of things, and being a perfectionist. Not being on top of putting out weekly episodes is something that literally eats me alive all of the time. But then I have to remember that the juggle is absolutely real and I can't do it all. And that's something that all of us high achieving women need to remember. Let go of the guilt, right? Also, I am actually quite ill right now. I haven't obviously been able to have any time off, but if I am doing something weird, like with my throat, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's because I have a bit of a gammy throat right now and it's making me do that. Anyway, the last episode that went out on here, oh my goodness, was the 20th of August. Yikes. That was my episode with Joe Jacob from Benella, who is an absolute expert in decluttering, downsizing, and house moves. So this episode segues quite perfectly on from that. But since then, let's just say a lot has gone on. It's actually amazing how many things can happen in, 3 months? August, September, October, November. Yeah, basically 3 months. It's pretty insane. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. But so many things have happened and also so many not so exciting things have happened. But as I always talk about, all of those things happen for a reason. And I like to notice the opportunities instead of wallowing in the problems. But some of the exciting things, what did I do? I spoke on the Home Life News Show at London XL with Gemma Solomon. I was a guest on the Let's Buy a Home podcast with Dan. That's out now, actually. You can listen to. I will ask Veronica to link all of this in the show notes below. And we were talking all about decluttering and, of course, toxic beliefs that are holding you back. Also, other things that have been going on, hiring and firing team. Oh my goodness, that was a very big learning curve. Wow. We're still not out of the woods yet with that, but it's getting there. A lot of unbelievable learning in a very short space of time. We also had huge website and platform updates. Oh my goodness, moving house, buying and pulling out of a house, buying another one, moving into a new office, my sanity, and so on. I mean, so much, like so much. Oh, ADHD medication. That's a whole other story. We won't go into that now. On top of the daily work and mum life madness. And if you've been following me on Instagram, then you might have seen little snippets here and there. Really, the constant juggle between the Space Creator and Pro Organized Academy is just unrelenting. And if you know anything about Pro Organizer Academy, or if you're one of my clients or a Pro Organizer, then you'll probably follow my other Instagram account and the podcast. You'll know it's pretty much taken up all of my energy and focus over the last few months. I've been running a couple of big group programs for Pro Organizers, helping them with their businesses, which I absolutely love, but it has kept me exceptionally busy. Lots of very late nights. Any of you who follow me on Instagram who are like OGs will definitely remember me saying that. When was it? What was the cutoff? I was going to have a cutoff of no more late nights. That didn't happen. It has been a bit better, but it hasn't fully happened. Anyway, sorry, I'm totally going off now, but I'm going to not unpack everything today in this lesson. Oh God, I'm so used to filming modules for courses. Today is all about the idea of needing a bigger house, because the thing is, we've kind of been conditioned that we've been brought up to feel like as we get older and more successful, we should have a bigger house to reflect that, bigger, better, everything, more space, more stuff, more status, whatever. And don't get me wrong, like I'd be lying if I said that part of me hasn't had the same dream and part of me does still have the same dream. I love the countryside. I'm a country bumpkin and I've always imagined having a nice, big, lovely old house in the countryside. Before I created a monster in my 2-brand business, I loved hosting, cooking for people, having guests to stay, doing amazing tablescapes. Oh my goodness, I love it. I love hosting so much. But obviously that hasn't happened for the last couple of years. So yeah, part of me does still want that, but like you can definitely still do that in a small house, right? And that is going to be my reality soon because I am buying a very, very much smaller property than I was living in before. But here's where it gets interesting because bigger does not always mean better. Like I spent pretty much a year or more decluttering my family home, 4-bedroom house that I owned with my ex-partner before we separated. And the difference it made to my mental load was unreal. I mean, my goodness, when there's things that you can't get rid of in your life and mental load, then getting rid of stuff that you can get rid of, whether you find it hard is a different story. It's the thing that you need to do, right? It just is such a mental load reliever. But even clutter and simplifying aside, like once I decluttered and packed so much, I was still constantly firefighting because so I don't work on Fridays anymore. Technically, as I'm off with Ottilie, she doesn't go to nursery on Fridays. One of the major perks of running your own business is deciding when you work, when you have time off. The luxury of freedom is absolutely worth the pain of overworking for a lot of years. But that meant that every Friday off with Ottie and every Saturday morning before she went to her dad's, we were literally just doing housework and gardening. And I say we because I got her involved with everything. I mean, how could I not? Like that was the only time I really spent with her. And so had to get her involved. And actually, I will do another episode on this. And I think I posted something on Instagram about this the other day about getting your kids involved because they love it. Well, she does. Ottie, obviously, the nature of my job has always been involved with decluttering and organizing. And she loves it. She's like, can we do some decluttering today? And it is the cutest thing. I mean, oh my goodness, it's very handy for me because obviously I've trained her well. But if you have older kids and, you know, that might be a bit of a different story. But anyway, so it was great because I was with her. She was with me, you know, we were spending time together, but she was helping me do stuff. And she's actually so great. Like, oh my God, you know, emptying the dishwasher as a 2-year-old, phenomenal. It was brilliant. Like, I won't go into this now because let's not argue about knives and things like that. Obviously, I didn't let her touch those, but she's just so helpful. Anyway, but we would literally spend all day. You know, it was this big house, 2 gardens with grass. So, you know, I was like mowing the lawn and everything. Obviously, I had to do everything. So, yeah, it was just so much. And obviously, we were also packing as well. Like, I didn't want to, well, I wouldn't have been able to just pack it all in one day. So, I had to do it gradually over time. And, you know, but even though she was with me, and that's great. And look, I am not a parenting expert by any stretch of the imagination or a child psychologist, but I know that they just want your presence, right? I know that. And so it made me feel a lot less guilty. But like, you know, our friends would be going out doing stuff, going to like play dates and, you know, all these different things. And, you know, we obviously did occasionally do that, but most of the time we didn't. And so you do get that mum guilt. But we just couldn't. You know, it was just a situation. And so, you know, and also like you might be thinking, well, why don't you just do it in the evenings? Well, because I was working every evening, like catching up with work, and also every Saturday afternoon and Sunday when she was at my ex's, her dad's, I was also working. So it's not a case of, you know, you can find time in the evenings that I didn't have any. Anyway, obviously now that the house is sold, it's just like, oh my God, I can actually do stuff with her on Fridays. It's amazing because we don't have to do all this stuff, you know, and it's a bit different. Obviously, at the moment, I'm temporarily staying with my mum. But one of the reasons it's relevant to this is I'm so excited for the new place that we're buying because I say for me and Ottilie, because it's just so much smaller. And so it means that, you know, I won't have to spend all of our time doing that. And yes, I will be reinstating a cleaner. Oh my goodness. But it will cost less than my old house because, you know, although for 2 years we didn't have a cleaner at the end, hence all the cleaning. Anyway, my God, I'm sorry, this is probably so boring, but I'm not going to be a perfectionist and overthink it or cut it out. But yeah, the house that I'm buying now, obviously I'm buying it by myself, so I can't get a mortgage anywhere near as big as what I had on the last house because I'm a single mum. So the size is obviously not going to be as big. But honestly, I have never been so excited, like genuinely. I mean, I've decluttered pretty much everything. And because I lost weight, none of my clothes fit. Well, I've decluttered most of them. So I don't have a huge wardrobe anymore. Like it's just going to be, it's going to be so much easier. I'm literally so excited. But I just also, that's because it's a new beginning completely, obviously with separation, everything. This is the thing as well. It's just like training your brain to see the opportunities and the positive things and not dwell on all the bad stuff, because I could be right now a totally different person if I wanted to be. I could just be thinking about all the really annoying, bad things that have been going on and that are still going on. But I don't. I focus on the positive things because why do I want to bring more of the negativity? And I don't. And I say this all the time on Instagram and it's so true. Like what you focus on grows. So focus on the good stuff. I didn't think I would feel this way at all, but yeah, just super excited. It's just gonna be so much less stressful, less to clean, less chaos, less. Less is good. And I can also really curate what I actually have in there. Proper specific storage. I'm going to get some proper storage built in as well, make it really nice, make it like our home. And I won't say too much on the new place yet because, it's not all gone through, but hopefully I haven't even mentioned it on Instagram yet, actually. Spoiler on here if you're listening. But it is a bit out of my comfort zone. But it's old, which is good. I have such an affinity with old houses. The last house that we had was the only new build I've ever owned. It was, although it didn't look it was thatched, and everyone was like, what? It's not a new build, but it was. It actually was. I knew the builder. So yeah, and it was like it was just that our house and the houses either side of it. But yeah, generally I'm not a fan of new builds. So I'm very happy to be moving into an old house. Maybe I'll change my mind if things go wrong with the old stuff, but hopefully it'll be fine. There's a bit of renovation to do, not like nowhere near as much as the house that I pulled out of. Oh my goodness, because one of the reasons I pulled out was because it was too much work and I couldn't add any more stress to my life. But there's no chain on either side. So I'm really manifesting that I will be in at the start of January. I'm literally manifesting the 8th of January, but let's just see. I mean, honestly, it could go before that, but I don't think so because obviously they shut for Christmas. So that would be very quick if it went through before Christmas. But I've already decluttered loads before I left the house, obviously, as you know, but I have still got stuff across about, I think, 4 different locations. My ex has still got loads of stuff at his work and what have you. So it's not really ideal. And normally I would obviously recommend decluttering it all before you move into the new place. And I might change my mind. I don't know. I just feel like it's totally counterproductive. I don't recommend this, but I feel like I kind of just want to get it all in there so that I can just go through it, because a lot of the stuff that is left is sentimental things. I'm going to be doing an episode on sentimental things soon, and stuff that I just actually want to have time to go through, because when I was doing everything previously in the house, it was very much like I was just kind of rage decluttering, like rushing it, just getting it done. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to kind of be there, like in my own space, in peace. Oh my God, peace. Peace is the most valuable thing, I swear. So let's just talk about how this then ties in to what's going on in the world right now, because as much as I live under a rock, I don't watch the news for my mental health and my sanity. It is the worst thing to do, in my opinion. And, what we focus on grows. So we don't want to be focusing on the bad things, as I always say. But anyway, I do know that there is a budget coming up, and Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, we definitely will not get into politics here, but she is obviously under pressure right now with the budget, which is due to be announced, I think, still next week, 26th of November, unless the date has changed. And there was talk about like stamp duty, council tax hikes, everything, all of that type of thing. I'm really hoping that they're going to do something to lower stamp duty for smaller properties. That would be amazing, but I don't know whether she'll do that. And then add in the interest rates, inflated energy bills, rising cost of living, all of that stuff. My God, my mortgage that I'll be paying now is like horrendous compared to our previous mortgage. Not in terms of money, obviously, but in terms of the rate. Oh my God. But it has come down, which is lucky a bit. When you think about all of that, suddenly that dream of, a huge 5-bedroom detached house with sprawling land and a utility room and a pantry and a home office, it starts to feel more like a burden than a goal, right? And I wonder if you've got a big house, if you're feeling the same. I know it's not just big houses, it's to do with the land as well and the square footage, but it's not just the houses, it's the stuff, right? We keep buying more and more and more, and then realizing we've outgrown our space. So we move or we extend. But that's not always the solution. So a perfect example of this right now is my mum's house. And as I've mentioned on Instagram, that I struggle with the clutter there. And that is true. But to be fair to them, my goodness, they have done so much decluttering over the last couple of years. It's actually amazing. Genuinely, they've got rid of so much stuff. And they've been doing it in a really sustainable way as well, just like over time, in a really eco way, not like chucking stuff, taking it all to charity. So they've done a really good job. But it's actually for them. And also, when I say like I struggle with it, I have real severe, it's to do with ADHD as well, but I really struggle with stuff, as you know, I've talked about. And so that's why it affects me more. It's not probably as horrendous as maybe I made it sound, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot for me. Anyway, now it's not even about the stuff. They actually do not have too much stuff anymore. It's the fact that they do not have any storage. Like they just don't have enough or the right kind. And it's funny because a lot of people, when I work with clients, they'll say, oh, I just don't have enough storage, or people on Instagram will say that, and it's like, actually no, you do just have too much stuff. You do need to get rid of some stuff. But sometimes not having the storage is a legit problem, right? I used to do storage design for people, and as a professional, I can tell you, like, this isn't me being biased. I've told them multiple times like what they need, like what I would recommend they get, what to buy or what to get designed, but they've been unsure. That they were also thinking that they might be moving, and so they didn't want to invest loads of money in storage and built-in stuff if they were going to be moving. And also the layout of their house, like there's a few kind of funny things. So So yeah, but I have said I will design a proper storage plan for them, because honestly, when you don't have properly designed storage, there's so much wasted space. And anyway, they've been thinking about a porch extension. And to be fair, it does actually need it. A lot of the houses along the road have done the same thing. Well, that's so boring. But anyway, it would be a good idea to get one. But building costs are absolutely wild right now, and it's definitely not cheap. And I said the other day, you do realize if you just got some proper built-in storage in the rest of the house, you wouldn't need extra space and extensions. She said, oh no, I know. I do know that, but it's not about the storage as such. It's about the porch as a whole, which is fair enough. But the point is, and I wanted to use this as an example, because if it was just about the storage, they could literally be saving like tens of thousands of pounds. Sometimes you actually just need someone to go to your house and say, look, if you put, if you got this built-in solution here, it might cost you $5,000, but you'd completely solve the problem of XYZ area, because, getting one decent storage solution can actually solve multiple hotspots in your house, like clutter hotspots, instead of spending, let's say, 30 grand on an extension. Or let's move and buy something bigger, which comes with even more costs. You've got obviously stamp duty, and stamp duty for something like I'm buying isn't too horrendous. It's only a few thousand, but when you're buying something big, it's like mega bucks. Estate agent fees, solicitors, obviously including also the price of the increase in the property, which is probably hundreds of thousands. So you could be talking an extra, 30K on top, depending on the cost of your house. So yeah, decluttering instead of moving is a very smart financial move. And even if you are going to hire a professional organizer, even if you needed to hire them for a whole week or 2 weeks, or for one day a week over 6 months, which is usually the most sustainable way to do it in terms of your decision making and being better for the environment, not having to get a skip. It's so much cheaper to do that than to move house or get an extension, right? I'm not seeing in-home clients at the moment, or anymore, actually. For this time being, I only work virtually now. I am continuously fully booked, literally months ahead, with Pro Organizer clients in the B2B side of my work in Pro Organizer Academy. So I don't even have space at the moment for any more virtual decluttering clients. But excitingly, if you do want my help, I know lots of you message often and say, oh, when are you going to start doing it again? Are you going to do in-home? Are you going to do virtual? Like, can I have a declutter session? Like, I get a lot of messages about it, and I do feel bad. Again, it's the guilt thing, because as we know, it's just, you can't do everything. But lots of you will know, because so many of you signed up for the wait list back in, when was it? April, I think, for something that I've got planned. And I was planning to do it at the beginning of this year, but I had to postpone it. But I am bringing it back. So it's happening. It's definitely happening next year. Create Space to Manifest boot camp. I'm so excited. And this will be the only way you can work with me directly now, like up close and personal. Obviously, it's virtual and it is in a group setting. I simply haven't got the capacity to see people one-to-one, as I said. So it is a group program. It's going to be really supportive and lovely. I'm so excited, and it's going to be an absolute game changer. If you were on the waitlist before and you were keen, then just keep an eye on Instagram. And if you think actually that might be great to have my help, I'm going to be answering your questions. We'll be doing hot seat coaching, anything that you need help with, any questions you've got with decluttering your space. It's going to help you to declutter at least one main room in your house. It's going to really change your mindset. Obviously, as you know, I'm very much about mindset and identity and helping you to become the person that you want to be. So it's the full process. If you have struggled to declutter before up until now and nothing has worked, or you can declutter but then it comes back, or you've got problems with habits or buying habits, or you can't get your family on board and then they mess things up, any of that, and sentimental things, I'm going to help you with all of that. So this is really the thing that is actually going to change things for you, and it's going to help you step into the identity of the person that you actually want to become and need to be, to have the life that you want. So I'm really excited about that. And if you do want help in your home, I've got a network of amazing professional organizers that I can recommend to you. And in fact, you can hear some of them in previous episodes on this podcast. I know some of the who've been on here have had bookings from you guys, from my audience who have listened. So go and have a look and listen back to any of those podcasts and see if any of the lovely organizers who have spoken are near you in your area, or if you like the sound of them, and just get in touch with them. Their details will all be in the relevant show notes for each episode. But the takeaway here is, don't fall into the trap of thinking that more space is the answer to all of your problems, because honestly, it's probably not. It's less stuff, better storage, more intentional living, better buying habits, feeling happier within yourself so that you don't want to buy stuff. That's where the magic is, and that's what I can help you with. So stick around and I will leave you with that. So go and clear a surface, take out the clutter that you were about to buy on Amazon, take it out of your basket, and remind yourself that the woman you're becoming, your higher self, doesn't need more, she needs better. So I trust that you found this episode helpful or inspiring, or at least just interesting hearing my crazy life antics. But thank you so much for being here and listening in. Have a gorgeous week, and I will see you next week, next Wednesday, for a new episode of The Space Creator Show.